Ocean burps. That's what prompted Fisher to pick up the phone and call Jesse. Hi, Jesse, it's me, Fisher. Jesse wondered why it had taken him an entire month to call. Did you hear about all the debris that washed up to shore, he asked. What? Detritus. That's what they called it on the news. A bunch of fish carcasses were carried in by the high tide last night. They say it happens every decade or so. Ever heard of it? No. Me neither. Anyway, I know it's raining pretty hard, but I was wondering if you want to take a drive and see what we can find. After that, maybe we can grab dinner. Jesse accepted. Later that afternoon, they walked on a little visited beach an hour north of Timka called Ahaz Beach, where the sea had coughed up dozens of bizarre sea creatures. Fisher and Jesse stood over a snake that was half alive. What is it? It's a sea snake, a yellow-bellied sea snake, I think. Never seen one in person, though. Don't touch it, it might be poisonous. They continued walking. This is amazing. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for saying yes, and I'm sorry it took so long to call. Something happened. What? Fisher bit his lower lip and swallowed hard. My dog, Keeler, ran away from home. That's terrible. What happened? It's still a little hard for me to talk about, but on that day on the river, the same day we met, I came home and had a quick beer. Then I threw a hamburger on the grill and rushed out the door to my mom's. I think I forgot to lock the gate and Keeler got loose. I don't know, I've been forgetting a lot of things lately. Recalling the adorable chubby face of Keeler, Jessie felt bad and asked if there was anything she could do. Thanks, said Fisher, but I've called all the animal shelters and I've posted signs around town with a $500 reward. I think he's gone. At least now I can catch some fish. Keeler always used to scare the fish away. Jessie sensed a sensitivity in Fisher that wasn't apparent that day on the river, and she weaved her arm into his while they huddled together and surveyed the beach, passing by an eel tangled up in the quills of a pufferfish, a rockfish that croaked like a frog, and a sand shark with a badly mangled fin. An unmistakable feeling of uncanniness hung over Ahaz Beach, the sky unleashing intermittent sheets of rain. Jessie pointed to something in the distance. Look at that. What do you think it is? Half submerged in churning 10-foot surf, a luminous sea creature with a red body and rubbery legs bobbed up and down in the breakers. Not sure, but it looks big. They approached the enormous animal with caution. Oh my God, it's a giant sea squid. Jessie squeezed Fisher's arm. The mysterious deep-sea dweller lumbered in the surf, its tree-trunk-sized tentacles and immense suckers lifting and falling with the motion of the waves. Just then the mantle surfaced, along with the squid's translucent eyeball. Jessie was startled by an enormous scar that ran along the base of the mantle, just above the squid's eye, all the way to the stabilizing fins. She clicked her eyelids open and shut to try and frame the moment, the scar on the sea squid disappearing under the water. Did you see the scar? Asked Jessie. Fisher seemed surprised by the question. Scar? No, I didn't see it. The rain picked up intensity. Do you want to go grab a bite to eat? Asked Fisher, pointing to an outcropping of rocks on the easterly point of the bay. It's starting to rain pretty hard. Fisher led Jessie through the hard-charging Washington squall to a string of quaint restaurants dotting the cove at Ahaz Beach. Making flirtatious figure eights in the sand, they ducked into the first place they could find, a small Asian fusion bar called Pure Guava. What are you having today? Asked the bartender. Just so you know, we're having a special on a drink called a Randall. It's a fine-tasting union of spirits. Made up of 2 parts Proximus tequila, 1 part Sombra tequila, fresh lime, grapefruit, mint, simple syrup, and ice, the bartender shook the liquids in a shaker with muddled mint and poured the lime green concoction into 2 tall cylindrical glasses. Commenting on the smoky but refreshing and complex taste of the Randall, the bartender noted that the complex flavor comes from the Sombra tequila. It's a smoky mezcal tequila, he said, and very unique. They ordered another, and after a bit of conversation about the bar, which shared a name with an album by the band Ween, Fisher asked Jessie about the trip she was planning. I want to hear more, he said. Why Sombra? And why for so long? Jessie twisted the locks on her sun-bleached hair and touched her face, the heat from the tequila painting a pastel red on her cheeks. Explaining that Sombra interested her because of its liberal perspectives and emphasis on the natural order of things, Jessie stated that she desired a simpler life and the idea of a tropical climate was appealing. Did taking the ethics course have anything to do with your choice? Asked Fisher. Not really. I enjoyed the journaling assignment, but school was starting to feel stale for me. And the professor who had us do the fieldwork assignment looked like he hadn't spent a day of his life outside. It's funny how that is sometimes. So what is it about Sombre that's so liberal? Well, gay marriage is legal for one, and so are drugs. All drugs? Asked Fisher. Yes, all drugs, said Jesse, and apparently not just your average marijuana, magic mushrooms, and LSD. One drug is supposed to make you more ethically conscious. At that moment, an unusual, formal-sounding voice inside Fisher's head spoke to him. The voice had a British accent and distracted Fisher from being fully in the moment. Fisher wondered if the leafy green cranial outgrowth was returning, but assured himself that plants can't talk. Captain, sir, the seas are a-bucking. Fisher ignored the voice. Jesse continued. And corporations. Sombre has a ban on corporations. And there are some really quirky laws that sound interesting, like outdoor lights can only be so bright, and streets can't be paved. Come again, Captain. You seem to be breaking up. Fisher politely asked the voice to keep to itself. That's interesting, he said. I wonder if these laws have caused any problems. Not the laws about lights, but like gay marriage, I mean. Don't get me wrong. I support gay marriage, but you know how it is in small towns. I gather Sombre doesn't have a lot of people. I don't know. I hear what you're saying about small towns, though. My parents are actually in a same-sex union, and they had to go to Vancouver to have the ceremony. Captain, sir, I do believe that we have punctured one of the gunwales and are taking in water. Your parents are gay, he asked. They are. I was raised by two women. They raised me since birth. Captain, can you hear me? Captain, come in, sir. Fisher recognized the voice this time. It was that of James Doohan, the Canadian actor who played Scotty on Star Trek. So you were adopted? Jesse hesitated for a moment, but continued in an oddly matter-of-fact manner, the booze causing a sense of detachment. Actually, I came from the in vitro fertilization process, through a donation center. My mothers were given a sperm donation, and I was created that way. One of my mothers actually took me to term, just like a normal pregnancy. Captain, sir, we're tacking hard to the left. We're tacking hard to the left. I don't know if I can control her. No kidding, said Fisher. I don't believe I've ever met anyone who was made this way. Yeah, it's not your normal Leave It to Beaver family. Fisher smiled. So, said Jesse, I'm going to Sombre because my biological father is there. I want to meet him. Captain, sir, it appears that the devices on the vessel have been overcome by a floating patch of cucumbers. Long, green, spiky cucumbers. I'm afraid that I must halteth our conversation until the airways have cleared. After finishing an appetizer of mussels and a third randall, Jesse and Fisher pushed in their bar stools and opened the door to the salty swirls of rain that blew in from the sea at Ahaz Beach. They began walking. Passing by a bakery, a saltwater taffy candy store, and an aquarium with a spiky football fish in the window, they advanced toward a red neon sign on the opposite side of the street. The sign read Entrada Real in cursive lettering. Fisher opened the heavy pine door. Inside, smells of garlic and fresh bread warmed the air. Gangly chrome lights slithered from the ceiling. A shiny, divoted pathway separating the bar from the restaurant curved down the middle. Part yin, part yang, Jesse and Fisher were escorted to a moon-shaped dining booth by the maitre d' who handed them a menu. Settling into the shiny leather seats, they ordered a margarita pizza and a 2005 Tisa Malbec and began discussing random subjects. So have you ever been to college? Asked Jesse. I applied to Western at one point, but I ended up not attending. My mom was going through a hard time, and I felt that I should stay home. And your father? Fisher pinched a section of cheek with his index finger and thumb. I haven't seen him for a long time, but my mom is doing well these days. She works at the local hospital as a medical assistant. It's funny. When I hit my head with the ratchet, my mom actually helped the doctor put the stitches in. Jesse reached over and touched Fisher's scar. It looks like it's healed pretty well. I think it has. It's probably good that you quit your job, she said. I think so. Fisher, can I ask you something? Jesse surveyed Fisher's other scar. What happened? Fisher shifted his arm to the shadows under the table. What? Sensing a place she should not enter, Jesse scooted towards Fisher. Before any words could spoil the purity of the evening, the couple kissed under the white burst lighting of Entrada Real. Pausing only to maneuver themselves into the ideal kissing position, their lips mingled through the final section of Nick Cave's Breathless. The night folded into itself like a napkin.